Hi everyone! On our last trip to Walt Disney World, we ate at the chef's table in Victoria and Albert, which is in the Grand Floridian Resort.
It was a really incredible restaurant, and it was certainly a one-of-a-kind dining experience, one that we were so lucky to get, and I really, really enjoyed doing.
So we really just want to talk to you about the kind of things we had and what we liked about it.
They gave us these personalised menus, which is perfect, because otherwise there is no way that I would have been able to remember all of the amazing food that we had.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think, even now reading this, that I can still, pronounce some of this stuff, so...
No, we're just going to do our best with pronunciation, and we'll launch right in, I think, by talking about...
The restaurant.
The restaurant.
Yeah, so I actually didn't really know where Victoria and Albert was before we went. I knew it was in the Grand Floridian, but that's kind of pretty much it. It's kind of tucked away in the back corner, isn't it? Just through these random doors.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's where it is, if that makes any sense. Off to the back, as you get off of the monorail, you can see oftentimes they'll have some musicians playing. It's off to the left of that, in that back sort of corner that you might not have ever actually been down if you've never had a reason to.
And as we said to start with, we did the chef's table, which is a little bit different than eating in the normal dining room, because there's only one seating a night and we actually get to sit in the kitchen, which was really weird but really awesome. I could just see them making my food. I mean, I see you make my food all the time, but this was a little bit more magical.
Slightly so. So you get there slightly earlier than your seating is, and they escort you through the kitchen and get you seated out the back. There was a champagne reception with the head chef for the evening, who was a very lovely man. So we had our champagne, shown our table, and we were just sort of left to take it all in.
Let's get on to the food, because really that's the best part about a restaurant. Just to give you a little bit of context, I am such a fussy eater that this was they kind of tell you what you've got, but you don't. I looked at it, I wouldn't be able to identify ingredients.
So the first course, or the amuse-bouche, was a poussin with marble potatoes with ratatouille and balsamic froth.
I think we had to Google poussin?
I believe so. It's a French word for a young chicken. So it's not a full adult chicken, but a younger one.
But not a baby chicken, it's just a smaller one.
But not a baby one, it's just smaller.
We did look that up.
We did look.
I was like, baby chickens! Anyway, I really liked this. Was it cold? I have a feeling the chicken was cold.
Yes, it wasn't served hot. It was sort of like a warm, but not overly warm, if that makes sense. Warmer than room temperature, but not hot. The vegetable ratatouille was really, really good, actually. I've never had ratatouille before, and I think that this was a perfect place to have it for the first time. It was a very, very small portion, so only a couple of bites. I will admit, I saw this first course come out, and my heart dropped a little. I was like, oh,
it's one of those restaurants.
I don't want to leave here hungry. Rest assured that didn't happen, and this was actually a really, really nice way to start the meal. Even the potatoes were fantastic.
I like potatoes.
I like potatoes too, but these were really, really nice potatoes. Throughout the meal, they brought us several different types of bread, each time with a small salt dispenser, which is shown here with a bunch of different types of salt in it. And this was so that you could salt the butter that they brought you, which was incredibly creamy, really nice butter, with as much or as little salt as you liked, and of whichever variety that you liked. So we got to try some really cool salts, including a pink Hawaiian sea salt.
I mean, that is the only one I tried.
That's the only one you tried. I tried a couple of different ones.
I liked it though.
And it was really good, which was, again, just a really nice touch on the meal.
Uh-huh.
And this was brought out in between some of the courses, several times with different breads. We'll move on to the next course, which was Colorado bison with ninja radish, slaw, and kumquats. It's a small fruit related to the quince.
What the hell's a quince?
Yeah, it's one of those fruits that no one's really sure of. No, it's like a quince. That's the only thing I can compare it to. I'm not really sure what a quince is either, but what it was really nice bits of bison, very sort of medium in the middle, under a lovely salad, and small bits of an orange kind of fruity flavour that you kind of got coming through the dish.
I really liked this. It tasted like slightly charred, and it was very pink. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit funny with pink meat, but that was okay. Yeah. It was cold again, which I don't mind. Didn't mind that.
No, and it was a really interesting way to start the meal. I don't think I've really had sort of as many cold meats as I have during this meal.
Ooh, next is my favourite, just because I liked the food, but the whole reveal of whoa.
The novelty of this was incredible. So it was a hot smoked Niman Ranch lamb with Fuji apple and curry dressing. And it was presented on a tall, wide sort of margarita glass.
Which was a nightmare to eat off of.
But with a glass dome covering it so the smoke wouldn't escape. They lift the top away and you breathe in this amazing sort of cold smoked meat aroma, and it was really, really cool. And the apple and what is it? It's
curry. Apple and curry.
Yeah, the round bit on the outside.
Isn't that a radish?
I thought it was a radish, but I'm not 100% certain.
I'm going to say it's a radish.
And it was really nice. The apples tasted slightly smoky from the meat, which was really, really interesting. The only thing about this, as we said, was it was very difficult to eat with a fork in the top of the glass without it toppling over. I
actually think I used my hands at one point. I was just like, I can't pick this up. So I either break the glass. So when no one was looking, I was just be like, hom.
But no, this was a very, very good dish, presented really nicely and just really different. Again, just different kinds of food that we've not really had before.
It was cold again though. Like a lot of cold meats to start with. We do move on to hot meats, but to start with, they just give us like 3 cold meats.
Yeah, which was very interesting. And I've had a couple of different wines at this point. I
forgot about the wine because I didn't. I only had water.
We'd had a champagne to start, and then a Sauvignon Blanc and a Riesling to go with this course, which I thought was really interesting because I personally would have obviously just picked a red. But the guy was like, I think this would be really good with a white, so we'll try that if you're happy with that. And I was like, yeah, whatever you want to bring over, it's fine by me. And it was really nice, and the wines that they brought were fantastic. And they were picked for me, especially by the head sommelier.
I was going to say,
who was a very lovely man.
You say guy really casual. Oh, that guy. You know, the sommelier that was like for us, yeah? Just some guy.
Yes, that guy.
His name's Israel, and he was amazing.
He was absolutely fantastic and picked some amazing wines to go with all of these foods.
I really like this course. Again, see, like, when I've had duck before, it's been a Chinese takeaway and it's been shredded. So to have a nice, like, is it just duck breast that we had?
It was a duck breast.
So it was roasted duck with fennel and leeks à l'orange.
Yes.
Which means there was oranges in it.
Yes, that's what that means.
That's the French translation.
This was the first warm course, so it was a properly hot, standard plate of food, and you really, really liked this one. I didn't so much, but you go first.
I liked it, and the thing that I was really worried about is it had, and I suppose you get some duck, like a strip of fat on it. And I was like, oh God, like, I don't like fat on bacon. I just don't like the fat of any meats. I'm always like picking off steaks on it. And I couldn't taste it. It like literally melted. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be chewing on fat. No, it was so good. And the oranges, it had like little tiny oranges that you just bite-sized ones. I loved this. This was another really good dish for me, and had a little edible flour on it.
Yes, I was about to point that out.
Oh, sorry.
Personally, for me, I think this was my least favourite dish of the entire meal. I wanted the duck skin to be crispier. It was really nice. It's just not.
You're kind of nice.
Yeah, it's not what I want from duck, because I cook duck breast occasionally for myself, how I like it, and I prefer it my way with a bit more of a crispy top. But it was still really, really good, and I actually really liked the vegetables with this one. The vegetables and the sauce for me were the best part, which I did not expect because I'm such a meat eater. Okay,
so at this point we had the head chef come over, and he was like, why have you both said no to seafood? And we're like, we don't really like it. And he's like, shellfish? Never really had it. And he's like, right, hold the phone. I'm going to go make you some scallops. Are they called? Scallops.
However you choose to pronounce them.
So he's like, I want you to try some good ones if you've never tried them before, and then you can make your decision. And I was like, okay. Like in my head, I was like, I'm not going to like them. And he's probably going to spend ages making them. I'm just going to be like,
So yeah, this wasn't one of our assigned meals. It wasn't in replacement for any one of our courses. It was just, hey, I'm a chef. I can make really nice scallops. So if you want, you can try them and you'll know that they'll be good. So he brought us this out as an additional plate, which he definitely didn't have to do, and just said, please, just try these and let me know. And they were nice in flavour-ish. I just didn't really like the texture.
Yeah.
And
I could appreciate what they were. I just didn't like what they were.
And he definitely cooked them fantastically. I mean, they look great on the plate. It just wasn't for us, and it wasn't our sort of food. So we did sort of say, thank you so much for letting us try this. It's really cool that we now know that we don't really like them. And we've had really good versions of them, so we don't ever have to sort of do that sort of second guessing. Maybe I've only had bad ones. We just know we don't like scallops.
I feel really bad because you just know they were probably really expensive, and we're like, throw them away. But anyway, next, moving on to another course that I love.
Bread.
Bread.
This was a herbed brioche. I can't exactly remember the herbs. I think it was sage and not 100% sure. And unfortunately, these was one of the things that isn't on our menu. But it was really nice. It was warm, incredibly soft. They brought out, again, the really nice butter with all the salts. And this was just really, really good bread. Okay, so this next course for us was the only one that we had that was different. Sarah has different food preferences to me, basically, and they thought I'd like this course and that you'd prefer a different one.
Well, you said no egg.
I did
my
say
one
no
was
egg.
very eggy, so you...
So I have an onion ash crusted Berkshire pork with sauce soubise, and it was amazing. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of pork, actually. Most of the time, aside from bacon, it's probably my least favourite of all the major meats. This was a really nice dish. I mean, you can see that there are loads of green bits. There was a really nice green sauce. I think that they're scallions or spring onions that came with it. But the pork itself had a really, really good crust on the outside. It was a very sort of earthy, ash-like flavour, which works really, really well with the pork. It was perfectly cooked, and this was the course that they brought me extra bread for so I could mop up the sauce at the end, which I definitely did. Which usually I don't do, because I'm not a fan of sauces most of the time, but this was just a really, really, really nice course.
I had something... I didn't really like it, at all, this one. I had a poached chicken egg with corn foam. So basically it was like a ravioli with an egg yolk in it that had been cooked, but it was still...
Oh yeah,
runny.
It was a poached yolk inside a ravioli.
Yeah, and then they had this corn foam, and it was weird. I can appreciate that if you like that kind of thing, you like it. But I was like, no, I had a bit of it. I was like, this is just too. There wasn't enough textures in it. It was very soft foam, soft ravioli, soft egg, and I was like, this just literally. No, it wasn't for me. It looks awesome. The foam was cool because I'd never had natural flavoured foam before. Apart from that, I would have preferred to skip this dish a little bit.
It wasn't really your sort of thing.
Another one that I would have quite liked to skip. In fact, this is where it started to go downhill for me a little bit, didn't it? It started to get a little bit too adventurous for my liking, so I backed out, which was fine for you because you had all my little extra bits.
It was fine for me, yes. So what this one was Macho Farm veal with chanterelles and truffles. And if I remember rightly, the middle one is a pasta and mushroom stack, sort of layers, with black truffle and a foam on the top. The far left was cheek, veal cheek, which was incredibly soft but so flavoursome. It was amazing. I really, really liked that one, and I was so happy when Sarah didn't want to finish hers.
I couldn't handle it. It was...
And then the far right, I believe, was just filet of veal with truffles and a really, really good demi-glaze-like sauce to go across all three. But this was a very nice plate of food.
You had white truffle with this one. So we actually, in this meal, we got to experience both white and black truffle. Apparently white is the rarer one. That was a mouthful. It was cool. I like truffle, actually. I like truffles.
Definitely. I mean, truffle oil gets a really bad rep because loads of places are throwing it on everything these days. Actual truffle, really, really good. An incredibly subtle flavour that just adds just a little bit of an undefinable something to it.
Oh, then we got more bread. Tell them about the bread.
This one was a sourdough made with a specific flour and yeast combination that had been imported from Vienna or somewhere ridiculous. There was food that we ate on this meal that had travelled further to the table than we had, and I just think that that's absolutely amazing.
This one wasn't just imported from Vienna. They sent the chef to his hometown in Vienna once a year when it was in season. He would go and personally pick it, and then he would fly it back with him. Why?
Because it was really nice bread.
I know,
it was a very good sourdough. You don't usually like sourdough,
no, I don't.
But you kind of liked this bread, actually.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I liked it more than normal sourdough.
Yeah, definitely. And it was just really nice, not overly firm, really nice soft bread.
Right, this course I liked. I liked most of it. There was a bit, I don't even know what it is looking in the picture. So I liked that this was Kobe, Australian Kobe style beef with potato turnip gratin. The gratin was nice with the black truffle on top. The fillet was nice. I can't remember what that other bit is, the darker one, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither can I. It wasn't a fillet. It was a flank, maybe?
Something else.
It was a different cut of the same beef cooked in a slightly different way. It
Reminds me of like short rib. You know, it's like really like
yeah, it could have been
broken
like
up.
a short rib or a prime rib or something like that.
Didn't like it.
I really liked it, and I was really happy about this course. It was fantastic. Kobe style beef is known for being particularly high end and really high quality. There's a limited amount of places you can get it outside of Japan. This is bred from the same cattle that were bred in Australia instead of Japan, so it's Kobe style. Not quite as good, and we were offered the upgrade to Kobe beef, but I actually really want to try that one when I'm next in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So
That'd be good.
I was perfectly happy to have the Kobe style Australian beef, which was fantastic. It was so soft. Again, not quite as undercooked as the picture makes it look. It was cooked exactly how we asked for it.
Well, we asked for it to be cooked just however it was meant to. Like all the meals, we said, he's like, how do you want them cooked? We're like, well, however it's meant to be presented, sort of thing. However the chef feels it would best.
Yeah, the
do
chef's
the meat, sort of thing.
opinion is usually the way to go on stuff like that, I think. And yeah, it was a really, really nice steak. I enjoyed that course a lot.
I liked it. I liked the steak. I just didn't really like the rest of it. I didn't want to be too picky, but I wish I could have kind of skipped this course. It's not for me.
Yeah.
It was the cheese course, which is, I'm sure, nice if you like cheese. I just really don't like cheese, like any kind of cheese.
It's very sort of traditional for a long course meal to have a cheese course, and I didn't really like any of them that they brought out, unfortunately. So they brought us a Harbizon, a Pleasant Ridge Reserve, a Vance, So Tosigna, Al Tartufo, and Mimolette. Don't really know what any of those mean. What it was a very similar to Stilton sort of mature cheese, as you can see on the far left. Then there was a fig and honey with a smoked cheddar kind of cheese, I believe it was.
I kind of blacked out at this point.
Yeah.
Like, oh, jeez.
They weren't that great.
I'm sure if you like...
If you like those kind of style of cheeses, then yeah, I'm sure they were great examples of it. They're just not really my kind of cheese, really.
To be fair, while you were having this course, you did also get the coffee. Do you want to talk about the coffee you got?
Yes, I got fantastic coffee that was brewed with...
Kona. It was Kona with a C.
Kona with
a
a
K.
C, which is the percolator that they use. And it's got a sort of... Almost, I think it's like a paraffin lamp, but not actual paraffin. I think it might be some form of alcohol with a wick that's burned underneath, and the coffee water is boiled, which draws down using pressure the coffee. It took a long time.
It took about 20 minutes to brew, and I sat there and watched it the whole time because this was just like mind blowing. Like you could see the water coming up because I guess it's a steam.
Yeah,
I just
I'm
didn't
honestly
really
not
understand how it
fantastic. I'm not really sure how it works.
But it was cool.
This was really, really nice coffee, though. By the time that they finished brewing it, I had a couple of cups, and it was amazing. Really smooth, not too acidic. I drank it black without sugar, just because I wanted to see what the coffee tasted like, and it was just really drinkable like that, actually. And was a really good point in the meal to have a really nice coffee. This
is where I get really excited, because like in any meal, this is my favourite part. It was time for pudding! Oh my goodness, we didn't get one pudding. We got two, like...
Really good puddings,
I was so excited. So the first pudding was...
Citrus Timble with violet sorbet.
This was really nice. It had like sugared flowers on it, and the violet... It was just really refreshing, and it had...
The sorbet was fantastic. It was so good.
And it had gold on it, didn't it? It was like gold leaf.
Little bits of gold leaf on the top. A nice sort of...
biscuity bottom.
Biscuit base for the really sort of citrus... Almost like a cheesecake, but nicer sort of...
It was so good,
though.
though.
It's a Timble, I suppose. That's all you can really describe it as. That's what it is.
Good. Second pudding, which I actually think I preferred to the first pudding, was a Peruvian chocolate Timble with roasted white chocolate gelato.
That gelato was amazing.
Oh my God, this whole thing.
I can still remember the taste of it. It's all of the amazing parts about white chocolate without that sort of overly sweet sickliness that it can sometimes have.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Gold again. Little bit of gold on there.
Flakes of gold on the top. And then a really nice sort of chocolate curl surrounding it. I'm really glad they brought the sorbet first, because the sorbet was really nice, really light, really nice and refreshing. And then this was just a really rich sort of chocolate pudding to finish. And it was, a fantastic dessert.
And then, so we were done, and she comes back round and she's like, are you ready for your chocolates from the master chocolatier? I was like, oh, hold on, what?
I don't think we'll ever say no to that.
I was like, hell yeah. And anyway, she brought out this like dish, well, you can see it, this is kind of a dish with a big handle of all of these, and I was like, oh, I'm not really hungry, but like I kind of want to try one. Didn't realise we got to keep them, like if we didn't eat them. So there's me trying to force down these really good chocolates, like I must try it. And she's like, you can take away the ones you don't eat. I was like, yes.
They had several different varieties, and they made sure that there was 2 of every single variety. Some of these were so incredibly intricate. If you look, there are some small ones that are very sort of like cameos, where they've got the dark background and then they've got a white chocolate portrait of a lady on the top with such incredible detail.
And he does that by hand, the guy, the chocolatier, didn't he? And then the cherries, there's an interesting story about these cherries, because when we walked in, there were loads of jars on the top of where we were, and I was like, what the heck is that? Like, weird. I thought it was just really weird decor, but it wasn't.
Big sort of jars with lots of liquid and sort of little white sort of blobs floating around in them. It honestly looked a bit like jars of pickled onions. And we were a bit sort of like,
what's that?
What is going on with that? That's a bit of an odd choice considering the rest of the room is so sort of nice. But it turns out what it is they're soaking cherries in brandy to use in their chocolates, and they just have big batches of them on the go at all times. And they were amazing. There was no bite from the alcohol. It had all sort of mellowed out, and it was just a chocolate-covered alcohol-soaked cherry. And
I didn't have those.
I think it was my favourite one from the whole chocolate.
I think you let me swap my chocolate cherry for like a minty one. I was like,
I think it was the Bananas Foster one.
oh yes, it was. Yes, yeah, no, yeah, that sounds right. That was good. So now comes the most painful part of the meal: paying. Unfortunately, this isn't on the Disney dining plan.
Not
so you
at
will
all.
not get this for any of your credits. I'm going to say this here: this is a very expensive meal, but
I think it was totally worth it, and if I ever get the chance, I'm doing it again.
Yeah. It was an experience.
It was a very, very nice meal. It was a really, really nice setting. We were incredibly well looked after by the staff.
We had about 4 or 5 staff just for us, didn't we?
The wine pairing was $105.
And that was just for Ash. I didn't get the wine pairing.
Which was, one that was per person. I only went for it. They're perfectly fine for you to say only one of us is getting the wine pairing because you wanted to stick to soft drinks. You're not really a big wine fan, so that wasn't an issue. There is a dress code for the restaurant in general. The one for the chef's table is just more restrictive because you are in a busy kitchen environment. So things like you do have to have your closed-toed shoes. Mm-hmm. The regular dress code is very similar. Otherwise, it's formal jacket and shirt and tie for men. Actually, I don't think a tie was included.
No, but it was a dinner. It had to have a dinner jacket of some kind. And if you don't have a jacket, they will lend them, but you have to wear it. I think you can take it off when you sit down, but if you get up to go to the bathroom, you do need to put your jacket back on again, which I think is a bit weird. But I suppose if that's the kind of atmosphere they're going for, you need to stick to it.
It's kind of formal clothing rules. It's
it's
kind of just what you have to do. If you do manage to get a reservation there, do follow the dress code. They will kick you out otherwise.
Yeah, that would be really sad.
That would be incredibly sad.
Thank you once again for watching, guys, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.